Have you ever wondered why so many people feel they need to be different from who they really are when stepping into a leadership role? Maybe you've felt that pressure yourself. A leader often believes they must have all the answers, show unwavering strength, and always be in control. This creates a heavy, often unsustainable burden. But is that really the most effective way to lead? Does this perfection bring us closer to others or build a wall between us? Today, I want to invite you to reflect on something that, while simple, is also profound. Being authentic is your greatest asset as a leader. Leading with authenticity isn't just about being honest with others. It's first and foremost about being honest with yourself. Believe me, this way of leading can be the key to building stronger teams, fostering trust, and creating more collaborative, healthy work environments. Authentic leadership is, without a doubt, a journey of courage. The courage to show yourself as you really are, with your flaws, uncertainties, and, of course, your strengths. And it's on this journey that true connections happen, trust blooms, and long-term results are achieved. In our society, the myth of perfection is everywhere. This myth is even more pervasive in leadership roles. Organizational culture often paints the leader as someone who can't make mistakes, who has all the answers, and who must never show weakness. This image of the infallible leader shows up in all kinds of settings, whether in businesses, governments, or even families. However, the vulnerability research I've been conducting for over 20 years reveals an interesting aspect. Trying to live up to this unreachable ideal isn't just exhausting. It harms both the leader and the team they lead. When we try to fit into this mold, what we're really doing is distancing ourselves from others. Picture a boss who never makes mistakes, never shows insecurity, and always seems to have everything under control. At first, this might seem impressive, but over time, it creates a disconnect. Why? Because it isn't human. We all make mistakes, we all have doubts, and we all face challenges. A leader who tries to hide their flaws or uncertainties ends up building a wall between themselves and their team. Now, think of the leaders you truly admire. Are they perfect? Or are they people who, in some way, manage to be real and human even with great responsibilities? Perfection is cold and unreachable. Authenticity, on the other hand, is warm and approachable. And that's what people look for in a leader, someone they can truly connect with, someone they can trust because they know they're being genuine. When I talk about vulnerability, I'm not suggesting that leaders should indiscriminately expose their emotions or publicly share all their fears. Vulnerability is not weakness, quite the opposite. Vulnerability requires tremendous inner strength because it involves being willing to open up to others, to be seen clearly, even in moments of uncertainty. It's about having the courage to say, "I don't know," or "I need help," and trusting that this doesn't lessen your value as a leader. One of the greatest challenges leaders face is the fear of being judged for their vulnerabilities. We worry that showing we don't have all the answers will make others see us as incompetent or unprepared. But in reality, leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about knowing how to ask the right questions, creating a space where people feel safe to collaborate, and building solutions together. And this is only possible when the leader allows themselves to be authentic. When you, as a leader, are willing to say, "This is a new situation for all of us. Let's find a solution together," you're creating an environment of trust and collaboration. You're showing your team that it's okay not to know everything or to make mistakes because we're all in this together. Before we continue, please take a moment to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our content. Now, let's talk about something that affects many leaders, especially those just starting their leadership journey: imposter syndrome. Have you ever felt, at some point, that you weren't qualified enough for the role you were in? That at any moment, someone might find you out and realize you don't deserve to be where you are? If you've ever felt this way, know that you're not alone. This is a common feeling among leaders, especially those who believe they must meet unrealistic standards of perfection. The problem with imposter syndrome is that it often leads us to overcompensate for our insecurity, typically by adopting an even more rigid and closed-off posture. Instead of showing who we truly are, we put on armor and pretend to be the idealized version of a perfect leader. But what does this do? It creates disconnection, both from others and from ourselves. This emotional cost is high. Being inauthentic requires constant mental effort to keep up the facade, and this drains our energy. Sooner or later, living this way takes a toll on us, manifesting as stress, burnout, or even affecting our mental health. The truth is that all of us, even the most experienced leaders, have insecurities and moments of doubt. The difference is that authentic leaders recognize these feelings, and instead of trying to hide them, they accept them as part of the growth journey. One of the greatest challenges in leadership is balancing the responsibility of guiding a team with the need to build authentic relationships. Many leaders lose their way in this process, focusing so heavily on results and goals that they forget they're dealing with people first. Authentic leadership, however, goes beyond managing tasks and hitting targets. It's rooted in building genuine connections with team members. If there's one thing I've learned over the years, it's that people connect with people, not titles. Being an authentic leader means recognizing the humanity in each team member and showing your own. This involves truly listening, being present, and caring about people's well-being, not just what they can do for the company or the project's outcomes. When you lead authentically, people feel they can trust you because you're not hiding behind a facade. And when there's trust, there's room for collaboration, innovation, and, most importantly, the creation of a healthy and positive work environment. We've talked a lot about vulnerability, but I want to introduce another essential concept for authentic leadership: empathy. Empathy is the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes, to understand their feelings and perspectives. It's essentially the daily practice of showing that you see and value others for who they truly are. Authentic leaders are empathetic leaders. They're not just focused on outcomes, they're focused on people. And by doing so, they create work environments where team members feel safe and motivated. Think about it. When was the last time you felt truly heard by someone? And how did that make you feel? In the corporate world, we're often so busy meeting deadlines and hitting targets that we forget to pause and listen to the people around us. Yet it's through empathy that we can strengthen bonds and create a cohesive team. A leader who practices empathy can understand their team's challenges, support them in difficult times, and genuinely celebrate their victories. Leading with authenticity doesn't mean everything will be easy. In fact, being authentic requires facing challenges in an open and honest way, which can be uncomfortable. However, authenticity is also the foundation of resilience. When you stay true to yourself, leading with clarity about your values and who you are, it becomes easier to tackle difficulties because you're acting from a place of integrity. Resilience isn't just the ability to bounce back from adversity, it's the ability to grow and learn from it. And when you lead authentically, you're constantly learning from your mistakes, from the feedback you receive, and from the experiences you go through. This flexibility is what enables leaders not only to survive challenges, but to thrive in the midst of them. Perhaps the most transformative part of leading with authenticity is the impact it has not only on the team, but also on you as a leader. When you allow yourself to be authentic, you begin to lead from a place of inner security and confidence. You no longer have to worry about maintaining a facade. This frees up an enormous amount of mental and emotional energy that can be channeled into creating solutions, innovating, and supporting your team. Authenticity also changes how others perceive you. Instead of seeing a distant leader, they see someone they can trust, someone they can rely on. This creates a virtuous cycle. The more authentic you are, the more people connect with you, and the stronger the bond of trust and collaboration becomes. In the end, authentic leadership goes beyond short-term performance. It's about creating a lasting impact, not only in people's lives, but also in the organization's long-term outcomes. Authentic leaders aren't just focused on quarterly goals. They're committed to human development, team growth, and building a positive legacy. When you lead authentically, you create a culture where people feel comfortable being themselves. This not only improves the work environment, but also drives greater innovation, creativity, and productivity. After all, when people feel safe to share their ideas and perspectives, they contribute more meaningfully. In today's world, where the job market and corporate environments are highly competitive, authenticity stands out as a powerful differentiator. In a world where many leaders feel pressured to follow pre-made formulas or replicate success models they've seen elsewhere, the authentic leader stands out through their uniqueness. But why is that? because people are drawn to the genuine, the real. A leader who shows vulnerability, acts according to their values, and is transparent in their actions inspires and naturally earns trust. Think about how often you've seen leaders trying to mimic other leadership styles. This may work for a while, but eventually, imitation becomes unsustainable because it's hard to maintain something that isn't authentic over the long term. Sooner or later, the misalignment between the image we're trying to project and who we really are leads to burnout. This can be emotionally exhausting and may even result in an identity crisis as a leader. On the other hand, when you lead by being true to who you are, this type of burnout doesn't happen. Instead, you strengthen your connections because you're leading from an authentic place. This internal and external alignment generates trust, and trust is the most valuable currency a leader can have in their professional relationships. Another fundamental aspect of authenticity in leadership is the alignment between your personal values and the values of the team or organization you lead. When this alignment exists, a leader can guide people with greater clarity and purpose. Decisions become easier to make because they're grounded in solid principles. Actions become coherent because they're in harmony with personal beliefs. However, this alignment isn't always automatic. As a leader, it's important to conduct regular self-assessment. What values guide your decisions? Do they align with the organization's mission or the team's objectives? Leaders often face ethical or professional dilemmas that put their convictions to the test, and this is where authenticity becomes essential. If a leader lacks clarity about their own values or acts contrary to them, this inconsistency is noticed by others. On the other hand, a leader who acts with integrity, whose actions are aligned with their values, becomes a living example for their team. And this congruence generates respect, trust, and admiration. When we talk about vulnerability in leadership, it may initially seem like we're only referring to the emotional side. But vulnerability has an even broader and more powerful role. It's a catalyst for innovation. Think about it. In an environment where people feel they must be perfect all the time, where they can't make mistakes or show uncertainty, innovation is stifled. Why? Because the fear of failure prevents people from taking risks, proposing new ideas, or challenging the status quo. On the other hand, when a leader demonstrates vulnerability by admitting they're also learning, that they don't always have the right answer, or that mistakes are part of the process, they create space for their team to do the same. And this is where the magic of innovation happens. Innovation is born from experimentation, trial and error, and a willingness to try something new, even at the risk of failure. When people feel they have permission to make mistakes, they're encouraged to explore new possibilities, create, and take constructive risks. Leading with vulnerability, therefore, is one of the most effective ways to cultivate an environment where innovation can thrive. And in a constantly changing world, the ability to innovate is essential for the success of any team or organization. One of the greatest challenges companies face today is keeping their teams engaged. In an environment of high employee turnover and rising levels of burnout, the role of leadership becomes even more critical. And this is precisely where authenticity makes a significant difference. When people feel valued and heard by an authentic leader, they become more deeply engaged in their work. Authentic leaders are able to create work environments where mutual respect and empathy are cultivated. This doesn't mean an authentic leader avoids setting challenges or ambitious goals. It means they do so in a human way, recognizing that each person has their own unique set of skills, strengths, and areas for improvement. Moreover, authentic leadership encourages a style of open and honest communication. Teams feel comfortable expressing their opinions, asking questions, and most importantly, pointing out when something isn't working. This kind of transparent communication helps avoid misunderstandings and larger issues down the road, keeping the team engaged and focused on solutions rather than problems. When people feel part of something bigger and are led authentically, they don't just perform their roles, they become ambassadors of the organizational culture. They champion the company's mission with passion because they feel they're contributing to something meaningful. And this is one of the greatest achievements a leader can reach, a team that works not just with their minds, but with their hearts. Another crucial point when discussing authentic leadership is self-care. Being an authentic leader doesn't mean you need to be available all the time. sacrificing your well-being to meet the demands of your team or organization. On the contrary, to lead authentically, it's essential to be attentive to your own emotional and physical needs. Taking care of yourself is part of becoming a resilient leader and, in the long run, a more effective one. Self-care is often overlooked in the corporate world, where overwork is frequently glorified. But a leader who neglects their emotional or physical health inadvertently sends the message that self-care isn't important for the team either. Lack of work-life balance affects not only the leader but also creates a culture where burnout is seen as inevitable. Authentic leaders understand that balance is essential. They recognize the importance of taking time to recharge, reflect, and grow as individuals. This isn't a sign of weakness. It's a demonstration of emotional intelligence and long-term vision. After all, an exhausted leader can't make clear decisions or guide their team with empathy. Moreover, by caring for themselves, leaders set an example for their team to do the same. They show that achieving great results doesn't require sacrificing personal well-being. This type of leadership is sustainable, and teams with leaders who practice self-care are more balanced, productive, and fulfilled. Authenticity also plays a central role in discussions about diversity and inclusion. In an environment led authentically, there's more room for diverse thoughts, perspectives, and experiences. Authentic leaders aren't afraid to surround themselves with people who think differently or bring diverse worldviews. They understand that diversity strengthens the team and that inclusion isn't just a plus, but a necessity for any organization aiming for long-term innovation and success. When leaders show up as they truly are, they create an environment where others feel safe to do the same. This is especially important in matters of identity, whether related to gender, race, sexual orientation, or any characteristic that makes each individual unique. An authentic leader doesn't try to impose a one-size-fits-all model of behavior or thought. Instead, they celebrate differences and promote a culture where each person is valued for who they are. Moreover, authentic leadership encourages challenging but essential conversations about biases and inequalities. Leaders who are transparent and vulnerable can admit when they're wrong or when they have more to learn on these issues. This open, honest approach inspires others to do the same, creating an environment where constructive dialogue is possible and where inclusion is not just a goal but a daily practice. Finally, it's important to talk about how authentic leadership manifests itself in times of crisis. If there is ever a time when the masks come off and the true essence of a leader is revealed, it is during a crisis. Whether it's an economic crisis, a global pandemic, or an internal restructuring, these are the times when teams most need leaders who are transparent, courageous, and, above all, human. In times of crisis, the temptation to hide weaknesses can be great. After all, everyone expects the leader to have a plan, a ready-made solution. But the truth is that there are often no easy answers. And that's when authenticity makes all the difference. Admitting that you are learning together with a team, that you are doing your best with the information available, and that you are willing to listen to other perspectives builds trust and strengthens the group. During crises, the authentic leader is the one who remains calm without denying the reality of the challenges. They share their concerns honestly, but also convey hope and resilience. This balance between transparency and optimism is what allows teams to get through crises more united and with a greater sense of purpose. If there's one thing we've learned over the last few decades, especially with the rapid changes the world has faced, it's that traditional leadership models are changing. The future of leadership lies not in the pursuit of perfection or absolute control, but in the courage to be authentic, to lead from the heart, and to create genuine connections with people. Being authentic as a leader requires vulnerability, empathy, purpose, and the ability to connect with people in an honest way. But the benefits of this form of leadership are immense: trust, engagement, innovation, and a working environment where everyone can be the best version of themselves. So my question to you is, are you ready to lead with authenticity? Are you willing to drop the masks, embrace your vulnerabilities, and inspire others to do the same? If so, you're on the right path to becoming a leader who not only generates results, but also transforms lives and creates a lasting legacy. If this content makes sense to you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell, and share it with those who need to hear this message. See you in the next video.